Welcome to Feared Armor. On this channel, I help you understand a battle raging between the powers of good and evil in the dimensional realm and how it manifests into our physical world. I also help you become resolved and a very strong-willed individual to be able to get through difficult times on our horizon. Everything I talk about on this channel relates and has something to do with the foundation of this channel, which is a book that I wrote called The Deathless War. I published this back in 2012, and many of the things, certainly with this global event that's occurring right now, this is a great opportunity for us to really start preparing for difficult future events that lie ahead. In this video series that we're doing right now, we're talking about enemy strategies. Tonight's enemy strategy is disbelief. Disbelief that God even exists in the first place. One of the first videos that I did in that first series, Gaining Perspective, I gave you a video talking about gaining perspective about the Bible. And if you haven't watched that video already, I'll just give you a very quick example of one reason why we should take the Bible seriously, and that is because of all of the future historical events that were written down in the Bible prior to them actually happening. And the example that I gave you in that video was that if I could tell you the close of tomorrow's Dow Jones Industrial Average to the exact decimal, and I was right tomorrow, then you'd say, good guess. If I was right for an entire week, you'd start to think, how am I able to do this? What if I was right for an entire month? Or how about an entire year? There are so many future historical events, prophecies, if you will, that are in the Bible. It would be as if I could tell you the close of the Dow Jones Industrial Average to the exact decimal place for almost 10 years straight. Now, clearly, this is something that man cannot do. We know that we can't even flip a coin and call heads or tails and call that correctly 100% of the time. We're constantly guessing. You don't know the next words that are coming out of my mouth. Neither of us know exactly what's going to happen with the weather tomorrow, nor do the weathermen. So the point is that we cannot see into the future. And I'm not saying base your faith on whether God exists or not solely on the fact of prophecies that are in the Bible, but I'm just saying that it's one barometer that we can use one piece of the puzzle that we can use to put together a judgment and a value decision to make that leap of faith. So those of you that have already made that leap of faith, you made it on a bunch of different levels. I never had a bunch of information when I first became a believer, and everyone takes their own path. I'm just suggesting that there's information in the Bible that can be helpful if you're having doubts and you're not exactly sure whether God does in fact exist or not. Do we actually have a soul, if you will? In the book, I constantly refer to this as your dimensional form. We have a physical form, obviously, and a dimensional form existing under one roof of consciousness. When you are physically alive, your consciousness attaches to your physical form. When we use this term death, or we die, our consciousness instantaneously transfers to our dimensional form. And there's apparently, from individuals that have had near-death experiences, they have died and come back to life, they have said there is no everything goes black and then all of a sudden things appear. It's just an instantaneous transfer of that consciousness from one form to the other. And so that's, again, things that we will never ever know the actual answer have an actual confirmation until we technically die or our physical form expires. That's why we have to believe based on faith. And God made sure when he put the Bible together through 40 different authors over 1.5 millenniums as a time frame, so that these individuals cannot even talk to each other, that there was also no way that God was going to put into the Bible 100% confirmation that he exists. It would be completely against the whole concept of faith if God actually put enough information into the Bible that everyone would just see, yep, absolutely, God exists. He's requiring a leap of faith, and many of us are going to come to that on many different levels. So, enemy strategies that constantly have us constantly try to make us disbelieve that God exists are everywhere. In the media, we doubt ourselves through influence that we get through our dimensional form. The doubts that you have whether God exists or not do not come from God. They come from God's nemesis, from evil. They do not come from God himself. God would not put doubt in your mind so that you would disbelieve. On the other hand, God's adversary most absolutely would constantly continue to hammer that home over and over again. Don't be foolish. God doesn't exist. That was for a long time ago, right? We've progressed far beyond that in knowledge and information and understanding. Everything that we know about the earth and the universe and all the different universes and all the information and technology that we've been able to acquire and amass and understand, we're far more intelligent than to believe in the Bible, right? This is dimensional battle. These are dimensional strategies aimed to have you disbelieve that God exists, even in the first place. When I was writing my book, many things were happening. I call it God was, in essence, leading me along the way, giving me breadcrumbs so that I knew I was on the right track. And in 2011, there was the large earthquake in Honshu, Japan, right? It was off the coast, so then it was like 9.0, like the biggest recorded ever in Japan's history. And that created this tsunami that destroyed so much of the coast there, so many of the villages. I mean, it just swept in. The videos of it are unbelievable to even think about. And then the nuclear reactor that they had there, they had problems with that. And on the news, there was a commentator, several people obviously in the media weighed in on what this was. People like Glenn Beck, people like Rush Limbaugh, people that are of faith. They were saying, this is very, very serious. Could this possibly be, something that the Bible starts telegraphing about as, earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and sheer tremendous devastation, on and on and on. Not saying that this is the end of the world now, but are these some of the signs leading up to difficult future events that are on the horizon somewhere? Well, Lawrence O'Donnell is an individual who does not believe in God, and he came out and absolutely vehemently denied the existence of God. And he went on, in essence, to mock these gentlemen, especially Glenn Beck, where he said, this, I'm telling you right now, this is not the end of the world. He kept saying it over and over and over again. This is an individual, again, who has followers. And so from a position of influence, he is mocking people that were listening, let's say, to Glenn Beck, where Glenn Beck was saying, listen, I don't know, but this might be something we might want to consider as part of the sign, some of the signs that we're going to see. And again, Lawrence O'Donnell said that's absolutely foolish. All of you Glenn Beck listeners are going to have to keep paying your mortgage, for the next 30 years. You're going to have to, we're not going anywhere. This isn't the end of the world. Stop being so foolish. He went on, made several other comments as well that I even talk about in the book, where he talks about the book of Revelation, where I'll talk about in another video. But he kept hammering home. He says, I'm telling you, and I know right now, this is not the end of the world. So in my book, I was like, okay, well, how do you know that? Right? You're so adamant about knowing this is not the end of the world. So how do you know? So if I gave you a coin and I asked you to flip the coin, could you tell me heads or tails? Could you tell me the next words that are coming out of my mouth? If you're so certain, so absolutely certain, how can you state this emphatically, right? If you can't even, again, tell me heads or tails. What's the next words that are coming out of my mouth? What's the weather like tomorrow? What's the economy going to look like over the next year? Who's going to be the next president of the United States? Certainly got that one wrong. The night before the 2016 election, he got on TV and said, and was laughing and mocking Donald Trump and saying, I'm telling you right now, Donald Trump will not be the next president of the United States. Well, how could you back in 2011 be so certain that people were going to have to keep paying their mortgages for the next 30 years, right? So individuals of influence, my point here is that don't listen to them. Make your own determinations. Look into the Bible about whatever questions that you have. In the Bible, it says, listen, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find. If you want answers to whether God exists or not, just read the Bible, and I guarantee you he will reveal himself in your particular unique way that you need to make that leap of faith, if you haven't already done so. Others of us, that have already made that leap of faith, we need to insulate ourselves from any disbelief, especially now. So many people need to really have our help and our support, even though whatever's happening right now, it's global. This is extremely, extremely difficult time, but we need to absolutely find resolve deep within ourselves and know that God definitely has his hands involved in what's going on. We're starting to see, with more information that's coming out, that this situation that we're dealing with may have a lot of human fingerprints on it. And God is injecting himself into this process, as he will during the very end, during the end time sequence. God makes all of these, makes himself known by signs in the heavens, things that are going to happen, by earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, and by meteorites and asteroids striking the earth. These types of things, God is saying, I'm here, right? And as I told you, I would not destroy the earth like I did back in Noah's time. I gave you the rainbow as the covenant that I will never, ever destroy the earth again. So anything that happens from this point forward is on you. But we know that God's definitely going to be present during the end time sequence. Very, very instrumental in all of it. So again, it's very, very important that we shun, we insulate ourselves from disbelief. Anybody that's telling you God doesn't exist, I wouldn't even listen to them, right? I would make that determination solely on your own determination, whatever you feel is right for you, not what anybody else tells you. This is an eternal or infinite future time decision that you're going to make. Infinite future time is just time removed. It's forever. You know, we've used terms like infinity, but just imagine no time existing whatsoever. Another interesting fact I'll leave you with this is that a lot of people, when they have these near-death experiences, especially those that have found themselves not going to heaven, but going to hell, or going to an area and a place before actually going to hell. The first thing that they talk about is unbelievable, is like the absolute removal of our understanding of time. Time is, in essence, gone. So the existence that they had and they experienced at that time seemed infinite to them. It seemed forever. Like a minute or 30 seconds or 10 minutes seemed like eternity because time was removed. They just felt that this was an infinite future existence that they were going to live forever and ever and ever, simply because time was completely removed. So again, this is a very, very big decision that that many of you, I encourage you to seek and search in the Bible and search in your own hearts and continue to watch this channel, and I'll continue to help you as much as I can to get to that point. But please know that I'm not an individual that pushes my beliefs on anyone else, and I would never ever do that to you, nor would I ever allow anybody to push their beliefs onto me. I'm simply feeling that this is a two-way street between us. I think it's very, very important that you make this determination solely and completely, you know, on your own merits. So, but I'm here to help as much as I possibly can. I'll continue to put out more content to help you, not only if you need to make a determination of faith. I'll be here for that, but I'll also continue to help you with a lot that God instructed me to write down in this book. There's a lot of content in there to discuss and a lot of things happening in the world that I think I'm a very good barometer to be able to help digest some of the things that are going on in the world. Okay? Thanks for watching. God bless. I'll see you on the next video.